I'm just going to run through a very quick example demonstrating the FIFO name pipe example, where we're going to get two unrelated processes to be able to communicate with each other via FIFO named pipe. So we're going to use the make FIFO function call, or system caller command, to be able to create ourselves a named pipe that we will be able to facilitate communication between two processes. Okay, so to do this, we're going to need two processes. So I've set myself up here in my given folder. So I'm just going to create two files. I'm going to use touch command to create them. We'll follow the example from the notes. So main program or main process doesn't really matter. Fine. So create one, and the other one is other process dot c, and everyone's happy. Okay, so there's my. Okay, I have to put the command in for it to work. Okay, there's my two files. Nice. So I've main process.c and other process. Okay, so let's just launch straight into it. I will open with gedit and we'll get rocking and rolling. So the first thing I'm going to do is just going to literally include some of the header files that we're going to use in the program. Okay, so just move my friend, center my friend here ever so slightly so we get a good look. And I'm going to say hash and okay, so the first one I'm going to include is the file control header, which will be fcntl.h, which is great. Cool. And hash. So the file control options is going to give us some of our functionality that kind of relates to our open read write operations. We're going to use oread only, which is going to specify that a file should be open for kind of reading, or OWR only, which will be for writing only. So that's what our file control options header is going to bring in for us. If we don't have it, it's going to give out, so which is fine. Second, we're going to bring in is stat.h hash include stat.h, and that's predominantly going to give us our functionality for make FIFO. Then we're going to bring in careful now. And we're going to bring in types.h, and that's kind of just going to give us some of our structures for our data types. And hash our standard library, which will be uni std.h. Okay, absolutely perfect. So straight in int main, and I'll make sure to open and close. Okay, so there we sit nice and pretty, and I'll save as I go. Perfect. Okay, so first thing I'm going to declare is, I'll go for int fd we'll use to hold our file descriptor. Fine. So file descriptor is going to give us the functionality to be able to offer some of our ability to be able to manipulate a given file. So predominantly we're just going to be reading and writing to a given file. We're going to do that through our low level file descriptor. Okay, so the second thing we're going to create is a string. So I'm going to do it as car star, and I'm going to call it FIFO file. I'm going to say that that's equal to, now this is basically what we're actually going to call our FIFO file that's going to be used with our name pipe. Okay, and what are we going to save? Save it in the temp directory. Just make sure that the temp directory, that the temp directory exists on your system. So just or wherever folder you actually want to save it into. So I'm saying from root into temp, and we'll come back, we'll double back in a minute and see this, okay? So FIFO file, and that's great. Okay, so now I'm going to call make FIFO, and I'm going to specify that the file name that we're going to use, which is our FIFO file, and the permissions that we're going to set for it. Okay, absolutely fine. So that sets us up. So make FIFO looks after creating our special file. Okay, now I'm going to hold my file descriptor linked with open. And what are we going to open? Well, we're going to open our FIFO, and we're opening it for O underscore write only. And this is where, careful now, yeah, it's fine. This is where our headers actually kick in a little bit, okay? So our file control options, which was fcntl.h, is managing that for us, okay? So that's where our O underscore read only kicks in for us, okay? Absolutely fine. Okay, cool. So now with my file descriptor created, I can very easily create a write or perform a write operation. Might help if I could type write using my file descriptor, whatever string I want to write out, and I'm going to specify this is the size of what I'm actually writing as well. So size careful now, sizeof, whatever. Okay, cool. So the message then is what we're actually going to, what we're actually going to send. So we might just say, just send a basic message. No one really minds what it is. And take a loan of that. So I'm going to send, this is the size of actually what I'm sending. Okay. And I can see very quickly one of my brackets. Funny. Okay, so there's my write using the file descriptor, the string message that we're actually writing, and a given size of it as well. Okay, absolutely fine. So that's already, so that statement has performed the write. I can very quickly then start to do a bit of tidying up. I'm going to close my file descriptor, and then I'm going to unlink from the FIFO named pipe. Unlink from FIFO, and we're done. Okay, cool. So there's main process. So there it sits. So before I go any further with it, I'm just going to compile this and make sure it's right. Okay. So I'm just going to slide my friend over here. Okay. Okay. I'm just going to get a better look at, so I'm just going to get a shorter command line so I can see what I'm actually running. Okay, so make sure I'm in the right directory. Yep. Okay, so there's my two files. gcc main.c -o main process. Okay, so it's giving out about my uni stad. Okay, so std. So it'll be quick to tell us if anything's gone wrong on us. Okay, so save, perfect, and everyone's happy. Okay, fine. So let's just make sure. And there's my main process. Nice. Okay, fantastic. So very quickly, I'm going to set up my other process. Okay, so let's center. And we'll follow on as well. Okay, so I'm going to build up my other process, very similar to what we have with our main process. So I may as well just speed this up ever so slightly. So I'm going to squeeze down a little bit. I'll come this way. Okay, So I'm going to take a loan of my header files just to speed up the video a little bit. And thank you. Int main. Okay, so what goes into main? So same again, I have my file descriptor, int fd. That's great. I have to once again specify my, I may as well just take a loan of these as I go. It's probably more important to understand what's happening than to perform a typing exercise. So I need to specify where this FIFO file exists. So other.process or main.process has created the FIFO file for us, okay? So we just need to tell the other process where it is. So we're holding our array of characters called temp, which is the FIFO file. This is the file we're interested in. This is what we're going to use to facilitate our communication, which is great, okay? So the second thing we're going to add in is a character buffer. We're going to store our information that we receive in here, okay? And we're going to set it to max buff. Okay, nice. Okay, so now I am going to use my file descriptor to open up the FIFO file, but I'm not going to write to it. I only actually want to read information, so I'm going to open it up for read only. Okay, so fd is equals to open. I'm going to specify that the file I'm interested in, so this is FIFO file variable. What am I going to do? Well, I'm opening it for O underscore, and it's RDONLY, read only, okay? Perfect. So the file descriptor is a low-level handler that's letting us interact with our file, which is great. So as soon as I have my file descriptor, well, I can just basically start to operate. So I'm going to read in some information where from my file descriptor. Where am I going to store whatever I read into my variable called buff, and this max buff is what I'm dealing with, max underscore buff, and that's perfect. Okay, so once I've read it in, then I can start to use it. So I'm going to say printf, what did we say, message received. And what will we say? Message received. So we're dealing with a string, %s. I'll jam down a new line to make things look clean. And we're going to say that what have we got in? Well, the information we read in was stored in buff, which is absolutely fine. Excellent. So a little bit of house tidying up. So I'm going to close my file descriptor. And I think that is us done and dusted. Okay, so maybe I'll just let everyone know we terminated. Okay, so I'm just going to return 0 and we're happy. Okay, cool. So I'm going to save, and similar to, so I'm just going to slide my friend over here just to make sure that if any changes we have to make, we can do. So what file have we got? It's otherprocess.c. Where are we gonna, my output then will be other process. So we're getting hit on printf. Okay, cool. So it's telling us, so we're getting an error straight back telling us that max buffer is undeclared. Okay, that makes absolutely perfect sense. I am going to define my buffer. So I missed this earlier on. Max underscore buff. Set it to 1024. Okay, absolutely fine. So there's our buffer. So max buff. So it's good just to see that when something goes wrong, that it's all fixable. We're still okay. Make sure I save. Okay, so we can see very quickly that I'm missing my header file for standard input output. Hash include stdio.h. Save. Recompile. Everyone's happy. Perfect. Cool. So I'm going to take, so there's my two programs have compiled and everyone's happy. Okay. So you can kind of see that incrementally we can build up what we have. And if we have any issues, everything's fixable. So it's just a case of looking back on any warnings or errors that we're getting back from our compiler, make our changes, rock and roll on with it. Okay. So I'm going to get a loan of another terminal window. New terminal. Okay, cool. Ooh. Okay, so I'm going to run my first file. Let's just see what we got. ls. So run my main process, and then I will cd to documents. Oh, no, we're in the right directory, even better. Cool. So let's just see ls. So I'm going to, what are we saying? Other process. Excellent. So you can see that we have from one process to the other process. So in the other process where we have message received, hello Joe, which is really good. Okay, so we've actually got our string message from our main process, which we've run here. It's passed. This process, which is main process, has written its message to our FIFO pipe. Then we have run our other process, and it has opened up the FIFO file specifying that it's for read only. We've read information in from our FIFO file, and then we've printed out the message that we've actually received. Okay, so that's the kind of main usage that we actually have for this. Okay, so I'm just going to take one more quick terminal window just to see what's actually going on with this. Okay, so I'll bring my friend down over here just ever so slightly. Okay, cool. Okay, so I'm doing an ls on my temp directory. Okay, so this is what we're operating off. Okay, so this is what we have here. So let's just go back very quickly and let's run our process again. Okay, so leave main process run there. Now you can see the difference here on this one. You can see that once I've run the process, it's telling us that FIFO file is actually here and it's been created, and this is the physical file that actually exists that we're using for our communication. Okay, so I would prefer if I could actually see what's happening with this. I'm going to bring my friend over this side so we can just see. Okay, so the file actually exists. We're going to just roll on with this and we'll run the other process. So the other process runs, we've received our message. I'm just going to run my ls command again, and you can see our file is gone. So literally we've had a little bit of a cleanup between, we've unlinked from the file, we're finished with it, it's done what it's meant to do for us. So we're actually creating a physical file to facilitate the communication between two unrelated processes. Okay, so that's the kind of basic operation of it. So I said I'd just do a little bit of a talk through video just in case anyone was finding this a little bit difficult or hard to comprehend, or maybe this might solidify some of the contents in our notes as well. Okay, so if you've any questions or issues with this, please let me know. Thanks.